NBA legend Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and others killed in a helicopter crash. Los Angeles County officials are about to hold a press conference. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon. My name is Daryl Osby, and I'm the fire chief of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. I want to thank you for coming here to today's briefing of the Willow incident. Today, shortly before 10 o'clock at 9:47 a.m., the Los Angeles County Fire Department received a 911 call of a potential helicopter down in a brush fire at the intersection of Los Virgenes Road and Willow Glen Street in the city of Calabasas in unincorporated Los Angeles County. Upon arrival, our firefighters discovered approximately a quarter-acre brush fire that resulted from a crash on the hillside. The Los Angeles County Fire Department initial response was 15 pieces of apparatus and 56 personnel that consisted of paramedics, engine company, heavy rescue, truck company, hand crews, and aircraft, and a chief officer to oversee the incident. Upon arrival during the incident and upon arrival of the Sheriff's Department, our two respective departments entered into unified command to handle this incident. Our firefighters on scene indicated that there was a debris field and steep terrain with a quarter-acre brush fire that was occurring at the time. Our firefighters hiked in to the accident site with their medical equipment and hose lines to extinguish the stubborn fire, as it included the brush fire, debris from the helicopter, and the fire also included magnesium, which is very hard for our firefighters to extinguish because magnesium reacts with oxygen and water. In addition to our firefighters hiking into the incident, we had one helicopter flying to the incident with firefighter paramedics on board. Those paramedics were hoisted down to the incident early into the incident. They did a search of the area for survivors. Unfortunately, all the survivors on board were determined to have been perished. Firefighters and hand crews worked to extinguish the fire while carefully preserving the incident for investigation. Currently, this investigation is still ongoing. I would like to turn this over to my sheriff to continue the press briefing.
Thank you, Chief Osby. Personnel from Los Angeles Sheriff's Station responded to the scene of the crash site and assisted the fire department, and we've established a containment area, and now our Aero Bureau has a handle on traffic or aircraft accidents. However, when there's a fatality, then it switches to the National Transportation Safety Bureau, the NTSB, and the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. The FAA is already on scene and assisting. We're waiting the arrival of the coroner's office to assist in the recovery of the remains. As the chief indicated, there were no survivors. We have a manifest that indicates that there was 9 people on board the aircraft, the pilot plus 8 individuals. There is wide speculation as to who the identities are. However, it is entirely inappropriate right now to identify anyone by name until the coroner has made the identification through their very deliberative process, and they've made notifications to next of kin. And it'd be extremely disrespectful to understand that your loved one was perished and you learn about it from TMZ. That is just wholly inappropriate, so we're not going to be going there. We're going to wait till the coroner does their job, and we're assisting the families of those who believe they've been impacted, and it's a tough process. And our hope goes out to all of the members that were on board, all the family of everyone who was on board this aircraft, and God bless their souls. So at this point in time, we have nothing that we can add until the coroner does their job, and we'll be making those notifications when we have the information and we know the next of kin have been notified. Then we can release the information publicly, and you'll be notified in subsequent announcements.
Sheriff, there's one thing you can confirm. Do we have a confirmation actually of 9 bodies there at the scene?
That is our belief, yes.
Thank you.
So we realize at this point there are so many questions. There's a lot of information out there, and again, we understand. There's a lot of information that's floating, but we certainly have a responsibility and an obligation, out of respect, of course, for the families. And this is a very difficult time for us all, for the city. We have the mayor here of Calabasas, also City Council. We thank them for being here. And in fact, they wanted to pass on a message that for those in the community that want to gather here and are coming to Calabasas, if you do, you are welcome to join others at the Deanza Park here in Calabasas, and the cross streets there are Los Hills and Las Virgenes. Also, the Sheriff's Information Bureau will be sending out updates as to when there will be, if there is one, a press advisory out, a notification of another press conference or any other updates through our Twitter. So please look for that. And again, we thank you so much for being here today. And again, thank you for your time.
Elizabeth, take a look at the Sheriff.
All right, a very brief press conference there in Calabasas, California, the site of a helicopter accident this morning in the hills. We at NBC News have confirmed that Kobe Bryant, the former NBA star, the LA Lakers 20-year member, was on board that helicopter. We just learned now from the LA County Sheriff that there were 9 people on board. That differs from what we had heard earlier in the day, so presumably Kobe Bryant plus 8 others. I don't know if that includes the pilot of the aircraft or not. Steve Patterson is in Calabasas near the crash site. He joins us now. Steve, I know there's a crowd gathered there. You could understand when the authorities just said they're not going to get ahead of the story. They're not going to get ahead of notifying the families. This is so heartbreaking for so many families right now.
It's an incredible thing, Kate, and so many people have gathered here because I think, like everybody across the country right now, it's hard to get a handle and your head around the fact that helicopter has crashed containing obviously one of our true legends. People have gathered here. There's a crowd here of onlookers. There's obviously law enforcement, the national media doing all they can to get as much information as possible. But most people have gathered here most of the day in stunned silence, just kind of gazing up. That is because the scene is still quite visible. You can see it off in the distance. Those are the hills up there near the scene. Calabasas, as we remain here, the smoke rising into the hillside, that is the wreckage of where that helicopter has crashed. We saw teams of investigators, what appear to be teams of investigators, combing through that wreckage as the crowd has gathered before down here. A lot of folks here obviously are people that just wanted to see this, wanted to see for themselves. So you've got people wearing Kobe Bryant jerseys, wearing Lakers hats, a lot of them wearing tears on their face, though. I saw a lot of people here that are just spasming with sobs, both for the news of Kobe Bryant and then later for the news of his daughter that NBC News is confirming. And so it's just a scene of sadness here and disbelief. As everybody is just awaiting more and more information. This crowd has been here for hours now, and they continue to gather here, essentially just looking up at what's left in that hillside. Many of them just in such disbelief of what's happened here. It is truly a surreal sight, Kate.
Steve Patterson on the scene for us, and Steve just mentioned this. NBC News has confirmed, unfortunately, that one of the other people on board was the 13-year-old daughter of Kobe Bryant, Gianna. Steve, I know that he, over the last couple of years, has been coaching her basketball team. He's been very involved, not just with her basketball team, but with other youth. He runs a whole center nearby where you're standing that is, not just basketball courts, but clinics and all kinds of training for young athletes.
Kobe was very involved and invested into the future, not only of the NBA, but of the city, but of the country. He was very involved, as you mentioned, with his daughter. The lasting images we're going to have of the last few images of Kobe Bryant are not of him dribbling or shooting or posting up or scoring a three. They're going to be him with his daughter on the sidelines, coaching her, teaching her, training her. He would often bring her up during interviews. It was obviously the source of where he was going was obviously his role as a parent, but as a coach and as somebody that was going to carry on this message of hope and carrying the game forward in a way that he played it I think that's going to be so powerful for so many people. And that's the way people, as we've been speaking to them in these crowds, are now remembering Kobe. Not, again, as that aggressive player, which he was, but as a teacher, as somebody that was wise and that was obviously invested in the community, invested in Los Angeles here, too.
Steve, thank you. Famous fans and friends are tweeting, have been all afternoon, about what Kobe Bryant meant to them. Just a few minutes ago, former President Barack Obama tweeted his condolences, writing, "Kobe was a legend on the court and just getting started in what would have been just as meaningful a second act. To lose Gianna, his daughter, is even more heartbreaking to us as parents. Michelle and I send love and prayers to Vanessa and the entire Bryant family on an unthinkable day." The President Trump, also tweeting this afternoon that this is terrible news. NBC Sports host Mike Tirico is with us. You knew Kobe Bryant. You knew his astonishing legacy. Tell me more about what is being remembered.
Kate, a lot of all of the things that Steve was discussing for this chapter in Kobe's life that was unfolding, becoming a mentor, being involved in the AAU team, the preparatory team for his daughter, and traveling to different tournaments as Gianna at age 13 had her burgeoning basketball career. And that love of basketball has brought Kobe back to NBA arenas. And those are some of the images that you were just showing on the screen there. The legacy of the basketball player speaks in many of the numbers. Now fourth on the all-time scoring list, just passed by LeBron James last night in Philadelphia, the city where Kobe went from that high school star that you mentioned, Kate, to becoming an NBA legend and a basketball Hall of Famer, 5 times a champion, twice an Olympic gold medalist. All of those numbers stack up. But if anything sticks out, and I was just on the phone earlier with a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame who pointed this out, it was Kobe's mentality, the edge that he had, the relentless pursuit of greatness, playing through pain, playing through injury, and persevering through difficult times on and off the court that are so much a part of who Kobe Bryant was and who Kobe Bryant was trying to be in terms of an example for the next generation. When you talk to LeBron James or many of the players right now, their example for how to be a leader and a star in professional basketball is Kobe Bryant. And the few NBA games that have tipped off since this news came out a few hours ago have already shown incredible outpouring of emotion and memory from the current NBA players for this player who retired 4 years ago almost, but is really very much still a part of what basketball is today.
Mike, you mentioned just yesterday, I think Kobe Bryant said you should be happy for the person that comes after you to be able to surpass the things you've done. So that's him saying, I got to pay it forward. I got to make room for the newcomers, for the new stars.
And it's okay for LeBron James to break that record as he did in Philadelphia, where at Lower Merion High School, Kobe Bryant rose to the level where he was ready as a 19-year-old to jump directly to the NBA. His dad played basketball, so in large part watching his daughter's basketball career in its infant stages grow was a reminder that it was being passed down from one generation to the next and also being passed over from one gender to the next as well. And there are many WNBA players, the Women's National Basketball Association, and prominent women's college players who are pointing out how much Kobe's involvement in their part of the sport and their support, his support of their causes was very much at the forefront of their first memories when they heard that Kobe Bryant was no longer with us.
Mike Tirico, so good to have you with us this afternoon to make a little bit of sense out of this. Thank you so much. We'll see you on Nightly News shortly.